Jordan Love proved all of his haters wrong by leading the Packers to a playoff berth here. They are the seventh seed. And you know what? Also, I feel like Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy are probably feeling the same way. They proved all those haters wrong as they are the NFC East champions here. They got a little bit of help from the Philadelphia Eagles, but that all being said, though, they still had a phenomenal season. And shout out to CeeDee Lamb, who had I feel like an under the radar, like one of the best single seasons that a receiver has had. And so we're going to break down this playoff game here on Wildcard weekend. But before we do that, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new content. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the playoff. And also, too, we have a bunch of off-season content. So ring that bell to get notified whenever Packers or Cowboys content gets released. And Ryan, just shock on how well both these teams have been playing as of late, I would say. Yeah. With the inexperience, I would say, from the Packers, I think that's what we all saw early on that first half of the season. Like it's a tale of two seasons, essentially. Like the young rookies, so to say, getting like their taste of the NFL, and then Matt LaFleur kind of grooming them and coached them up. And I feel like this whole organization, Jordan Love leading the way in the second half to like, hey, let's go get a playoff berth. Then at the same time as well, with Dallas, we all know how they play at home, and then we all know how they play on the road, and yet they have throughout the season slowly just gotten better, and they figured out some of their road issues, and at home they have, I think, become even more lethal at home. Dak Prescott, I think, has had a good year. We had kind of been giving him some crap on the channel. Definitely giving a lot of crap to Mike McCarthy. I think a lot of it's due, but I think they had a good season, and they answered a lot of questions. So kind of want to throw it over to you here. What are your overall thoughts and expectations on both of these teams, and how do you think the game's going to play out?
Yeah, also to add on, Dennis Allen's had a pretty good year for the Dallas Cowboys also, sealing up that number 2 seed for them in the Detroit game.
Brad Allen.
Brad Allen. Dennis Allen
is the Saints coach.
The Saints coach. Sorry, we were just talking about that.
We were just talking about recording.
Yeah. Brad Allen has had a good season for the Dallas Cowboys. That joke totally whiffed because I said the wrong name. But no, I mean the Cowboys, they've been phenomenal at home. They're 8-0, not losing a game, and yeah, I mean the fact that they got the 2 seed is huge for them because they're guaranteed 2 home playoff games, possibly hosting the NFC Championship game if San Francisco were to lose in the divisional round, but that is next week. So it's going to be interesting seeing the Packers come in here because they're 4-5 on the road. Also, Christian Watson has been out of the lineup since he pulled his hamstring in his return from a pulled hamstring about, I think, 3 weeks ago. And he's just been battling that all year. But also, this offense is totally different when Christian Watson is in the lineup. I mean, he is, when he's on the field, he's a true number one. In my opinion, and he's a real threat. I'm really curious to see what the Cowboys defense is able to do to take away him in this matchup, because also now with the emergence of Jayden Reed, Tucker Kraft has had a really good season, and Jordan Love has really kind of come into his own. That we were about halfway through the season, I think everybody was ready for this Love experiment to be over, and now I think they're probably singing a different tune just because he has played very well. Also, Matt LaFleur looked like another guy who was going to be on the hot seat, and he saved his job as well. And so it's just going to be really interesting to me to see what comes of this game, because I do think matchup wise, it favors the Cowboys. But with that being said, it is kind of hard to predict what the Packers are going to be able to do, just because Christian Watson will be on the field, and this offense is much more explosive when he is out there. And also, this defense did a pretty good job of holding Justin Fields in check. So I'm really intrigued by this matchup. I do think the Cowboys, that on paper, it favors them and just how they've been playing as well. So I don't want to give anything away too early, but this matchup intrigues me a little bit.
Yeah, it's one thing. I think it's always a sign of a good coach, a good front office, a good organization as well when you see the overall improvement of a team. And that's where I think, and this is the thing, it's a fan base as well, just fans and fanatics. Maybe even also a testament to the kind of culture that we're in now. It's like, no, we want results now. We don't have any patience. It's like, why aren't you winning football games?
Yeah.
And then to your point earlier, the Packers are 4 or 5 on the road. I'm going to go back up to their schedule here. A lot of that was earlier on in the season. Like they lost to the Falcons on the road, lost to the Raiders on the road, Broncos on the road, and the Steelers on the road. They did lose to the Giants on the road in mid-December. But looking at how the Giants ended the season and how close they were in games and the teams that they beat, it actually isn't as bad of a loss, it seems now. Just because I think the Giants were also improving as well.
Yeah.
Kind of a young team dealing with some injuries. And that Steelers loss was the last loss where it was like they played better, but they still should have won that game. From there, though, the only other 2 losses were that Giants game that I talked about, and then they essentially lost to Baker Mayfield, who threw a perfect game against them at Lambeau, which is there's probably things that they could have done to mitigate that, but at the same time, the quarterback's just having a day. I think, or for teams having a day, it's sometimes tough to do.
After watching the highlights, there were 1 or 2 things I think they could have done, but Baker Mayfield let him up pretty good. He just made some incredible throws.
Yeah.
I mean, he only threw the ball 26 times. He was 22, 26 for 300 something yards and 4 touchdowns. He just had a day.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing too, where if I look at it matchup wise, I would obviously take CeeDee Lamb over anybody in the league. But if I look at the whole and the package, from what the Cowboys offer within their system and what the Packers have developed and the speed that they bring to the table, that has been confusing these defenses. There's not too big of a difference outside of obviously the big giant horse of CeeDee Lamb in there. And so I'm sure people are going to be rolling their eyes when I say that. The Packers offensive line has improved a bunch over the season. Jordan Love has improved a bunch over the season. Aaron Jones is now healthy, and he's back in the backfield as well. I think the defensive front of the Packers have improved a lot, and I think that they've done a good job of their front 7. Obviously, Dallas' front 7 is going to be great. Dallas in the trenches are going to be good. They are just better than the Packers, at least by a little bit in every single category, except for one. They're better than the Packers by a lot in the secondary. Outside of Jair Alexander, I think that's where the weakness is going to be for the Packers, and how do they maintain both CeeDee Lamb and then the rest of this receiving crew. So going back to my point earlier, Packers receiving room has improved a lot. They're young, and over the next couple of years, they're going to be very scary. But they're still really good. They're tough for secondaries, I think, to have to handle. However, Dallas' secondary is experienced. They're veterans. They're really good. Packers are going to get their fair share, yes, but I think they will know how to kind of handle the Packers receiving room. I don't feel the same way about the Packers secondary, and I think that's going to be the biggest X factor in this game. Packers secondary has probably been one of the weaker parts of this team as they have developed, and they have improved, but I don't think they have improved nearly as much as how the receiving room has improved, offensive line has improved, Jordan Love has improved, and so that's where I think is what's kind of holding this team back just a little bit. And if you go back and look, so they held the Bears to 9 points. That's awesome. But they held a Jaron Hall, Nick Mullins, Minnesota Vikings team to 10 points. But you go the week before that, sorry, they gave up 30 points to Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. They haven't done that often this season. I actually don't know if they have outside of that. They gave up 34 to Baker, 24 to Tommy DeVito-led Giants team, or it was Tyrod Taylor, one or the other. They did beat Kansas City, and they held them to 19. I just think there's going to be a little bit more volatility in what the Green Bay Packers secondary gives up compared to the Dallas secondary. And that to me, I think is going to be the biggest difference in this game here. And so let's get into our predictions here. But before we do that, and I throw it over to Ryan, if you're still with us, thank you. Hello. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell if you haven't already. Help Ryan and I reach our goal up to 3,000 subscribers. And also, you will get notified whenever we create new Packers and Cowboys offseason content, which will be plenty. So, Ryan, who do you have winning this game and why?
So I'm going with the Cowboys. They haven't lost at home yet. I don't think that they will. And, I think they're just a better team than the Packers. I think they're going to make less mistakes. They'll probably force Jordan Love into a mistake or two that I think will be the difference in this game. I'm going to go 31-24 Cowboys.
I like it. I do think it's going to be a closer game. I think it's going to be a closer game than what people are expecting. this Packers team and Jordan Love has developed a lot, which is scary to think about with how young they are. That was one of my, as I'm getting ready for the offseason and kind of doing our recaps, like things that the team needs. It's just experience. They're really young, super. This whole offense is young. Aaron Jones, I think, is the oldest guy on the team. He's only 28. On the offensive side of the ball, and he's only 28. Secondary, they have a lot of guys going to free agency, and they just need just more experience and just need to get a little bit older. So it's great that they got here. They have possibilities to win this game, but I'm going to go with Dallas for the same reasons that you said.
Yeah, I just think they're the better team. So we're both going with the Cowboys here. Let's go ahead and wrap up this video. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and help us reach that goal of getting to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the postseason. And leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.